Hello students and welcome back to the lecture videos for Understanding the Self or SS111. Today we will be talking about lesson 3, which is Anthropological Self. Okay? So in the previous lessons, we talked about how philosophy understands and views the self. And in the second lesson, we talked about how society influences our view of the self, particularly from the perspective of two sociologists. Today, we will be talking about another field, okay? We will be highlighting how culture or how the cultural aspect of our life affects how we view and understand ourselves and how we relate to each other. Okay? So for this lesson, we have three learning outcomes. First, to know what is culture. Second, to illustrate how culture influences the self. And third is to point out one's collectivist and individualist characteristics. Okay? So for this lecture, we will start by defining what is anthropology. Okay? Anthropology is the social science that is concerned on understanding the human conditions in its cultural aspect. Okay? So, well, on the other hand, there is another thing that we call as cultural anthropology, which focuses on people's beliefs, practices, and the cognitive and social organization of human groups. Okay? So, the main point of this lesson is we will try to understand how our culture influenced and affected ourselves as we grew up. Okay? And how it continues to affect us even if we are already on a different age. Okay? Now let's start. What is culture? Okay? What is culture? I know you have a lot of ideas about what culture is. Maybe you have learned them at school when you had makabayan subjects, or maybe you have learned to the definition of culture by browsing through the internet. Maybe you have heard your teachers, previous teachers, or your classmates define what culture is, or maybe you have found it and given a personal meaning or interpretation about this word. Okay? Now we will have the definitions of culture by different authors. First, according to Christina De Rossi, an anthropologist at Barnet and Southgate College in London, the etymology of the word culture is derived from a French word. And this French word is in turn derived from the Latin word colere. Okay? Colere, which means to tend to the earth and grow, or cultivation and nurture. Okay? Now, culture, the etymology of the word culture is also connected with several other words that relates to fostering growth. Okay? So, culture daw is coming from the Latin word colere, which means about growth. Okay? Now, culture, according to Miss De Rossi, encompasses religion, food, what we hear, how we wear it, our language, marriage, music, what we believe is right or wrong, how we sit at the table, how we greet visitors, how we behave with loved ones, and a million other things. In short, guys, culture is a very broad aspect that covers almost all of what we do. Okay, another one from Mr. Warder. Culture refers to the behavior and belief characteristics of a particular society, community, or ethnic group. Another one, this time from the Center for Advanced Research on Language Acquisition. Culture is a shared pattern of behaviors and interactions, cognitive constructs, and understanding that are learned by socialization. Thus, it can be seen as the growth of a group identity fostered by social patterns unique to the group. It is followed by Mr. Edward Taylor. Culture is the complex whole, which included knowledge, belief, law, art, morals, custom, and other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. In short, guys, there have been many definitions of what really culture is. Not one definition totally encapsulates or encompasses what culture is because it is very broad. Now, that is why we need to consider its different definitions. Okay? Now, how is culture related to the self? Let's go to the next part, which is the self embedded in culture. Okay? Now, as per the previous lesson, we have talked about how we have our own self concept or our own self image. And we have learned that society affects how we view ourselves, and in connection, how we view others that live in the same community with us. In this lesson 3, guys, the highlight is not about the society per se, but how culture enables us to view ourselves in a different perspective and how we view our relationships also. So this also includes social interactions because culture is learned, guys. It is acquired and learned as we grow up. It is not inherent per se because when you transfer from your birthplace to another place and dito na ka nagdako or dito na ka naka-learn, dito na ka naka-reach sa maturity, mas dako jud og tendency nga kato ang culture nila ang imong ma-acquire instead of your even if dili ka dito gianak, dili ka dito you are not born there, pero kay dito man ka nagdako, dito ka nagmatngon og buot, so you learn or acquire the culture where you live. Okay? Now, Catherine Rafe, a developmental psychologist, believed that culture can influence how you view these things: relationships, personality traits, achievement, and expressing emotions. Okay, guys, first, relationships. How culture affects or influences our views on relationship. Okay, culture influences how you enter into and maintain relationships. Okay? Now, there are a lot of reasons why you would like to enter into a relationship. Sa bata pa ka, syempre, part gining puppy love, attraction, crush-crush. Ya, lamit kay sa feeling kung maka-enter ka o mauyab ba nimo ang imuhang crush or ma-friend ba nimo ang imuhang idol. So, yung anak nga mga relationship, guys. Now, although there are a lot of reasons why a human person enters into a relationship with another human person, uh, it there are also different interpretations of these reasons. Okay, now entering into a relationship might be voluntary, meaning willing ka, imuhang free nga decision, or duty based. Okay, now in the Western societies, guys, usually this occurs in the Europeans or the North Americans. Uh, they are given the freedom to choose whom to marry. Okay? So free sila mo pili sa ilahang partner. Generally. Now in Eastern societies, usually guys in Asia, meron pang mga countries or mga society na nagapractice og arranged marriage. So the parents, bata pa lang ka, ang parents nimo og katong sa imuhang ka-arranged marriage nag-meet up na, nagsabot na nga when you reach a particular age, so magminyo mo. Nakaset na ang tanan. You are not given a freedom to choose. And if you choose to violate that arrangement, so there will be repercussions for you and for your family. Okay? So mo na impact sa culture when viewing relationships. Second one, personality traits. Okay? Now, we have different personalities, guys. For example, it is a practice in the West nga you call adults with their first name. Di ba? Bisan pag papa or mama nimo, usually first name gina ang pag-address. Kanang mga older bitaw nga person sa imuha. Dinhi sa tuwa, especially in the Philippines, uso kay ning tawagon na to ang older sa tuwa. Bisan pa og not blood related og uncle, ate, kuya, boss, or manong, manang, ingana po ang ato ang culture. So sa ato guys, you are considered respectful if you address a person like that. Pero does that mean nga katong sa Western society, since they address their elders as with their first name, does it mean nga disrespectful na sila? No. That is considered still respectful in their culture because that is how culture affects their personality traits. Okay? Now, achievement. Uh, achievement. Culture influences how you define success and whether you value certain types of individual and group achievements. Okay guys, naay mga culture nga achievement-oriented kaayo. Kana bitong ang basihan nila sa value nimo as a person or your role is your role in the society. For example, kung professional ka, tag-as kay sila panglantaw sa imuha. Pero dili gani ka makahuman sa imong pag-eskwela, dili ka makatungtong og college, mubo kay sila panglantaw sa imuha. So there are cultures which based your value as a person depending on your achievement. Usually kaning educational attainment yun guys, and it's very prevalent in our society in the Philippines. Although it's from my own personal perspective, it's quite negative tungod kay the basis of the value of a person should not be his achievement. Because whether you achieve something or you do not achieve anything, you are still a person regardless what. Okay? So, dili na siya mo basis imong pagkatao or your value as a person. It goes deeper than that. Achievements are considered incidental to your person. Okay? So, when you achieve something, then that's good. Pero kung wala po kayo na-achieve, then you try again. Maybe in other fields, na dito nakalaya ang imong achievement. Okay? Now, so that was the third one. And fourth is expressing emotions. Okay? There are cultures, guys, nga kanang kuan kaya sila sa emotions, how they express their emotions in their family, in their society. Na mga culture nga open kaayo sa kaning mga lalaki nga nagahilak in public, dawat na nila because crying is not kining show of weakness. But there are also other cultures that it is undeniable nga dili sila ganahan og lalaki nga emotional kaayo because a man should be seen as strong, kining kaya tanan, and crying publicly is a show of weakness according to them. So morning na po yung mga society or culture nga dili kayo expressive sa ilahang emotion. Na yung mga society nga open kayo sa pagdawat sa mga emotions, publicly showing affection, di ba? Na yung mga culture nga okay lang sa ilaha diha bisan pag mag-date mo sa kanang public jud kaayo mag-holding hands. Ako yung mga culture nga dili ibud mo accept ni anak. Okay? So this is how culture affects how we view relationships, personality traits, achievement, and expressing emotions. Okay? Now let's go to the next part, which is the individualistic and collectivist culture, guys. Now, when we say individualistic, from the term individual, meaning kanya-kanya, iya-iya. Collectivist, on the other hand, is focused on the group, from the word collect. So, dinaghan, bitaw. Okay? Now, in this aspect of culture, guys, there are what we call as independence or independent and interdependence or interdependent constructs. Okay? Now, what are these? Construals in social psychology means how the individual perceives and interprets the behavior or actions of others towards themselves. Other meaning of construal, guys, it is an interpretation of the meaning of something, hence, in this sense, the meaning of self. Okay? Now, we have two. First is the independent or the individual or the representative of the individualistic culture. So, independent guys, they have independent views of themselves. They see themselves as separate from others and define or prescribe themselves based on personality traits and characteristics. Usually guys, mooning mga tao nga kusog kayo I am. And this is commonly experienced by the North Americans and Europeans. Okay? Individualistic culture kasi represents the self as separate, distinct, with emphasis on internal attributes or traits, skills, and values. Okay? So usually guys, ang kining mga people coming from North America and Europe, muna silang mga individualistic kayo or independent kayo. Ilahang approach. So, dili sila basta-basta maapektahan of what the culture dictates them because their approach in how culture should influence a person is very independent or very individualistic. On the other hand, guys, we have the interdependent view. So, mo na view sa mga collectivists. Collectivists. Okay? Now, they see themselves as connected to others and define or describe themselves through their relationships and their roles. It is always about the connection with another person, another people, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your fellow citizens in a country where you live in. Okay? So it is always connected with another. Independent, so from the word independent, more on individual kaayo. Collective, it is interdependent. So it is always connected with another person or a group of people. Okay? Now, these are commonly found in people living or coming from East Asia. Di ba? Dinhi sa tuwa grabe kayo ang atong value through relationships. For example, sa atong pamilya, kusog kayo dinhi sa Pinoy, sa Pilipinas, ang mga extended family. Okay? So, what are this? Kining sa usa ka balay na ang lolo o ang lola, ang mama o ang papa, o ang mga anak, usay napay uncle, napay mga igagaw, or we live in a single family compound, amoy dako nga yuta, then dito ra pud mo magtapok from the grandparents to your parents to your uncles, aunts, and ingana. Kusog kayo ang ato ang relationship bitaw with another. Dayon ang kining sa kuan man gud guys sa other countries, especially in Europe ug North America, dili kayo nagsara kayo nato ni makita ning mga ingani bitaw kusog kayong extended family living together. Usually pag abot nila age of 18, they always try to live independently from their parents. Okay? Now, the importance of cultural self-awareness. Guys, why is it important to know that culture affects how you see yourself and how you relate to others? Okay? This is important because first, it will help you understand your own identity, your roles and biases. And then it will help you to develop that cultural self-awareness that will help you acknowledge with each case of cultural diversity. Okay, guys? Kasi ang matag culture, lahi-lahi man good. And hence, every individual is also different from another. And even if you follow or you belong to the same culture, naagid gyapon ang uniqueness sa matag tao. Knowing how culture influence or affects you will help you understand your personality. It will help you understand your origin, and it will help you understand some of the biases. When we talk of biases, kini bitong tuag yung mga leanings, tuang mga ideas about a particular person. So, unsa may example ng biases kung fan kay ka og K-pop, so mas kuan jud ka, mas prefer gini mo mutanaw og mga Korean or mamina og mga Korean songs compared to OPM. Pero kung ang imong bias is on the Western, so mas fan mo ka sa Western music such as Taylor Swift or isa pa. But if you are also biased towards your own culture, so ang imong hapong leanings is that you would like to listen to OPM over any other things. So mo na example sa biases. So it will help you understand where you are coming from and therefore develop a cultural self-awareness that will help you understand nga, ay, kana bitong diversity sa mga tao. So you learn to not judge them or not fear them, but you learn to respect them. Okay? Because you understand where you are coming from, nasabtan mo sa imong self, nga, uy, ingani man ko tungod kay ingani ako nadak-an. So maybe, ingana po siya, tungod kay lahi po ihang nadak-an nga kultura. There comes a development of respect. Okay? Kung balikon guys, how important cultural self-awareness is, it will help you know and understand your identity, your roles, and your biases, where you are coming from. And hence, it will help you uh, develop a cultural self-awareness which will lead to respecting the uniqueness and the diversity of the persons that you will be encountering as you interact with the society. Okay? So, for final part, self-awareness will help you respect other cultures and to acknowledge and understand that individuals may not develop a sense of self in the same manner. Okay, guys? So, ang pinaka-purpose gid ining cultural self-awareness is respecting diversity that we will truly or really encounter as we interact with the society we live in. Okay? Sa panahon karon guys, daghan na kaayo og nagkadaiya nga mga attitudes, daghan na kay nagkadaiya nga personalities. Even when you meet your classmates, naaman jud mga tao nga di gid ta compatible bitaw. Naay mga kauban nimo sa kung nagtrabaho na ka or na kay mga kining kidaapilan nga contest such as you are a basketball player or volleyball player or you are an athlete in general. Nagitay mga tao nga ma-meet nato nga dili gid compatible ang personality sa atua. Okay? And ang immediate gid kaayo nga response nato is that i-hate na to siya, likaya na to siya nga presko magay nang tuhanan, bugiro magay ni. So i-judge dayon nato siya. That is the common response. But by developing cultural self-awareness, dili ka you do not jump immediately to a conclusion. You do not judge the person immediately, but you try to look deeper into the person and understand nganong ingani man ka siya no? Nganong ingana man na siya? And you are able to know nga ay ako pud baya dili pud baya ako always positive. Dili pud baya ako always nga buotan. Napod baya ko yung mga negative traits. Okay? From that awareness pa lang daan guys, naan mo develop yun ang respeto sa matag usa. Although dili ka ganahan sa iya ha, pero you respect the person. You do not like his actions, but you do not you do not hate the person. You just don't like him. You do not like him, pero you still respect him. Ingana bitaw ang practical gid nga application niini. Di mi gid sa dili kana bitaw ang quote nga you cannot please everyone. That is true. You cannot really please everyone. But it does not mean nga dili na nimo sila irespeto. Does not mean that you resort to disrespecting them. Respect is always essential no matter which society we live in. That is how being aware of your culture will help you in growing maturely as a person. Okay, guys? So that's it for lesson 3, which is the cultural self. I hope you have learned and gained something from this lesson and that this lesson will serve as a jumping point for us to be able to start asking deeper questions and be able to respect our fellow persons in the society that we live in. Okay, guys? Thank you for listening, and we will be back again for the next round of lecture videos. So, as usual, if you have any questions with regards to the lecture, write them down, and then we will answer them together through an interactive discussion in our scheduled synchronous class. Thank you for listening, and God bless and keep safe always.